Today I fucked up by jokingly suggesting my parents get a divorce. This happened over dinner yesterday. Some context first, sorry for the length, too long did not reads at the end. Mom, 51 female, and Dad, 53 male, have been married 28 years. Mom has never liked Dad's drinking, they've always fought over it since I was a kid, but it would usually be limited to just then. Dad's in the army, and in my country it's a tradition for officers to gather at the mess almost every night and drink. Now Dad's a relative lightweight, so he would sometimes embarrass Mom at parties with his slurring and stumbling. These were their first fights I witnessed over alcohol. He's continued this practice at home, and although he doesn't drink too much at once, Mom would get mad at Dad every night he was drunk. She has this terrible anger in which she can really make you feel like shit with just her words, so facing this every time he was drunk made my dad start to do it behind her back. Eventually, of course, he was found out and the fights escalated to being about him lying. Note that my parents have always been very loving to each other, and me. Their only major fights are about alcohol. I was in attendance during their latest fight. Started off with Mom raging at Dad because he appeared a little tipsy, and then he got angry back at her. Dad is normally a very calm person, but recently I've noticed him getting very angry when defending his alcoholism. This time he lost it again and started going off about other flaws Mom has and how he doesn't criticize her for them. It got to a point where they both seemed to say they loathed each other. Now I still thought they cared for each other and were letting their emotions get to them, so I suggested, if you both really hate each other so much, why don't you just get a divorce? To my shock, they both quickly agreed and continued talking about how they do it. A full day has passed since, and they haven't said a word to each other. I've tried talking to both individually and they seem to have a lot more hatred for the other now, and I can't help but feel like I massively escalated their fight with my suggestion. Too long did not read. Mom and Dad fought over the latter's drinking problem recently. I got fed up with their bullshit and jokingly suggested they divorce. They took it seriously and now it seems Mom can't look past him not giving up drinking while Dad thinks she's a control freak. That's not your foo at all. Almost certainly, they had been discussing divorce between each other for a long time. That's why they didn't bat an eye when you said it. They were probably relieved that they didn't have to hide it from you anymore. Also, your dad just might be an alcoholic, and probably needs to seriously deal with that issue whether they get divorced or not. I don't know how old you are, but I'm getting a feeling of staying together for the child, Ren. Your question may have been the permission they both unconsciously wanted and needed. It may feel like a f up on your part, but I hope you can come to peace with the fact that your come to Jesus comment did work, not in the way you would have ever hoped, but it prompted forward movement. I wish you the best of luck and internet hugs. Today I fucked up by saving my parents from a harmful and stressful marriage. ? Maybe you're not the jerk that made them divorce, but the hero that stopped them from killing each other? Or maybe after they cool off they'll calm down and talk. Regardless, you didn't cause their problems. At most you just gave them some clarity. You're a problem solver. If anything, you did them a favor. Today I fucked up by liking mangoes a little too much. Let me start off by saying that this foo is the culmination of years of stupidity, but the full impact of it only hit me this morning as I stood in the kitchen, scrubbing my hands and face like my life depended on it, after eating one mango. I live in the US, and, up until 5 years ago, had never really cared for mangoes, the big green and red ones you get at the grocery store. They were too fibrous and had this astringent undertone to the taste that I really didn't like. I would grudgingly tolerate them in a fruit salad or whatever, but I never sought them out or ordered any food or drink that was mango flavored. Then one day in May 2017 I heard about this variety of mango called an atolfo, only really available in the late spring and early summer. Apparently they were delicious. I had my doubts, but I found out Trader Joe's was selling them, so off I went and bought a couple of these little golden hook-shaped fruits, just to see. And holy shit. It was like drinking the nectar of the gods. I had never tasted a fruit so sublime in my entire life. I went to the store and bought 6 more and ate them all over the next 2 days, standing over the sink with juice running down to my elbows like a barbarian. The next year, when May rolled around, I bought 7 atolfo mangoes. The year after that I bought 9. Every time, I ate them all within no more than 72 hours, and every time, it was a mango bacchanal. I would slice the mango halves off of the central pit, gnaw them right out of the skin, and then gnaw my way around the pit, too, scraping it with my teeth just to get it all. My face, hands, and shirt would be sticky with mango juice. There was nothing better in the whole world, and I had started looking forward to it every spring like a ritual. I'd never loved nor craved a fruit this much. The third year, though, something a little weird happened. The day after eating the mangoes, the corners of my mouth were red, cracked, and painful. I freaked myself out wondering if I had a fungal infection or something before remembering that I had just eaten 9 mangoes. Probably that much fruit juice had irritated my mouth a bit, or something. I shrugged it off. Last year I bought 4 mangoes. Gonna take it a little more easy this time around, I thought. I ate 3 of them, the 4th one wasn't quite ripe yet. And I woke up the next morning with the entire surface of my lips covered in tiny, fluid-filled blisters that burst with the slightest bit of lip movement and itched like the devil himself had sent an army of mosquitoes to kiss me directly on the mouth in my sleep. I was in agony. I could barely sleep the rest of that week. The blisters itched so bad that I wanted to tear my lips off with my fingernails. They left a sticky, crusty liquid behind when they inevitably burst, and new ones kept forming where the old ones had been. I tried chapstick, Vaseline, even hydrocortisone directly to the lips in an act of desperation. Finally I resorted to Benadryl just so I could knock myself out enough to get a few hours of sleep at night. It had to have been the mangoes. I got on the internet and learned, to my horror, that mango skins and pits have the same oil urushiol that makes poison ivy do its terrible, terrible thing. And my dad's side of the family has always had bad reactions to poison ivy. I'd never encountered poison ivy myself, or thought I never had. But I'd been encountering the skin and peel of mangoes, enthusiastically, with my lips, for the past 4 years. I had been slowly sensitizing myself to urushiol. Every year. And now it had come back to bite me in the ass. My theory was corroborated later that summer when I went for a walk in some overgrown woods, and the next day had a blistering, painful, itching, oozing rash the size of a $50 coin on my ankle, that took 2 weeks to go away. But the mangoes were so good. How could I give up the mangoes? How could I have discovered something so perfect, so beautiful, only to have it cruelly snatched away from me after only 4 years? How could I spend the rest of my life mourning what I had known and loved so briefly and then lost? So I devised a plan. This year, I would buy 1 mango. Just 1. I would carefully cut the flesh away from the skin and peel, slice it into tiny cubes, then use a fork to eat the cubes one at a time, never letting them touch my lips. And that's what I did. It tasted as good as I remembered, but the delight was tempered by the extreme caution I was taking to not let even 1 drop of mango juice come into contact with the outside of my mouth. Afterwards, I scrubbed my hands like I was about to scrub into surgery, then carefully washed my face, twice. I could only wait and hope that over the next 24 hours I wouldn't discover that I had again condemned myself to a week of sleepless misery despite my extreme measures. It was then that it hit me. This was what the rest of my life was going to be like if I wanted to eat mangoes. I was going to have to do this, every time, for every mango. And I was going to do it while remembering the utter unrestrained joy of eating 9 mangoes at once with juice running down my chin without a care in the world. I've created my own personal hell. Too long did not read. Today I realized that I've essentially given myself an allergy to the only fruit I've ever loved enough to eat 9 of at once. You might want to consult a medical professional to see if you can wean yourself onto them or if there is a shot you can take. My sister used to be allergic to many types of foods but took shots they helped her. I've never heard that mangoes are like poison ivy, thanks for sharing. My mom is from a tropical country and we've been eating mangoes, yellow sweet kind, my whole life with no issue. In fact, it's extremely common in her country and I've never heard of it presenting poison ivy symptoms. I don't know why, but the poetic imagery evoked something in me. You've made me realize that my writing will never live up to this post about mangoes. I used to live on cured meats, bacon, and wine. Developed a sulfite allergy and now I can't eat any of them. Allergies suck. Sounds like man no go. Kinda out of your normal way, but if you ever go to a Pakistani grocery store in the summer, ask for Sindri or Chausa mangoes and prepare for your mind to be blown away. If you like atalfo, you'll go mad for those. Like a friend introduced me to the Pakistani variety and I don't eat atalfo or any other kind now. They also don't make me react badly like atalfo do. This is how I eat mangoes. Maybe not 9 at a time, but you gotta get the good stuff off the pit and off the skin. Fortunately, so far no allergic reactions from me. Which is kind of odd since I'm allergic to so many other things. I'm so sorry you have this allergy. These types of mangoes are 100% delicious.